This is lesson 3.4 on using similar triangles. The essential question here is how can you use angles to tell whether triangles are similar? Now our key idea here is that angles of similar triangles. When two angles in one triangle are congruent to two angles in another triangle, the third angles are also congruent, and the triangles are similar. So triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. So looking at our first example here, identifying similar triangles. Tell whether the triangles are similar and explain why they are or why they're not. Well, the two triangles here, let's see, we have 75 and 75, and we have 50 and 50. So x and y have to be equal. So the two triangles have two pairs of congruent angles. So the third angles are congruent. So yes, the triangles are similar. Let's look at our second one here. We're going to write and solve an equation to find out what x is. Because we see that we have 63 and 63 the same, but 54 and 63 are not. That doesn't mean that they're not similar, because maybe our x is the other 63. We don't know yet. So what you're going to do is I'm just going to write an equation here. X plus 54 plus 63 is going to equal my 180 degrees. That's going to be x plus 117 equals 180. Subtract 117, and we get x equal to 63. So this angle right here is going to be 63. So we have 63s are both the same. This 63 and this 63 are the same. So this must be 54 degrees. Since the triangles have two pairs of congruent angles, the third angle are congruent, and the triangles are similar. So the triangles are similar. So for B here, the triangles are similar. So let's look at C now. We're going to tell whether these triangles are similar or not. Now, if you remember, I discussed earlier that that little symbol, that square in the corner, means that these are 90 degrees. So these are both 90 degrees. While 42 and 38 do not match, but like I said before, it does not mean that they're not similar because we don't know what x or y is. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for x. So I've got x plus my 90 here, plus 42, which is the other angle, and that's going to equal 180. Add these together, you get x plus 132 equals 180. Subtract 132 from both sides, and I find that x is 48 degrees. So my x right here is 48 degrees. So we have the right angles the same, 42, 38, 48. So no, the triangles do not have two pairs of congruent angles, so these are not similar. So for C, those two triangles are not similar. So let's look at an example here using indirect measurements. Sometimes things are a little bit too big that you can't just grab a tape measure and figure out what size they are. So that's when we start using something that is called indirect measurement. They do this when they're doing like excavating, or you see them trying to measure out how big large parcels of land are. Or in this case, we're going across a river. Now you plan to cross a river and you want to know how far it is to the other side. Now you go ahead and you take measurements on your side of the river, but obviously you can't take measurements across the river. you take those measurements on your side of the river and make a drawing shown. And you're going to explain why triangle ABC and triangle DEC are similar. And then we're going to figure out what is the distance x across the river. So if you're looking here, you can see that angle B and angle E are both 90 degrees because they're right angles. So these two are congruent. B and E, we already know those are congruent. Because two angles in triangle ABC are congruent, then we will know that they are congruent. So let's look here. We have angle ACB, and angle DCE. So in other words, this angle and this angle, we know since they are alternate angles that they are congruent. So since we have two angles that are congruent, we know that both of these triangles, triangle ABC and triangle DEC, are actually going to be similar. And that the third angles are going to be similar also, are going to be congruent actually, the same. So now to find the ratio of the corresponding side lengths in similar triangles, remember we have the lengths of the sides. We're going to write and solve a proportion in order to find that x. Well, we have our x is going to be the same as the 60 side. And we're going to set that equal to the other sides we know, making sure we keep with the same triangle. The x is here, so we're going to put the 40 on top. Remember, same shapes on top, same shapes on the bottom. And we have 50 down here. Well, we're going to cross multiply. Well, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this as 4 over 5. So I'm going to end up with 5x is equal to 240. We're going to divide by 5 and find that x is equal to 48. And that's going to be feet. So the distance across the river is actually going to be 48 feet. Go ahead and get your notes finished up and get started on your Clever assignment.